Previously, Gao Peng stands up and opened the curtains where the sulfuric acid water was. Gao Peng ordered the ape to lie in and take a dip in the acidic water while assuring the ape that it will be transformed. The ape picks some hair in its body, then throws it into the acidic water. The hair produced smoke, which made the ape shocked and fear. The ape turned to Gao Peng and then shake its head. Gao Peng touched its head and said he can give the ape strength, but it must be courageous, which made the ape thinks. The ape finally has courage, then goes into the sulfuric acid water, and when the ape is fully soaked, the smoke comes out from it, which made Gao Peng cough and alerted the smoke detector. The operator saw that the fire alarm was triggered in room 10. Then he called the security officer for help. Zhu Yuan grabbed the fire extinguisher, then walked toward room 10 with the other security officer, which made the other examiners confused. On the other hand, Wang Shu thinks his money was not spent in vain because Lai Jin is reliable. The security officer arrives at room 10. Then Zhu Yuan kicked the door. When they were inside, they were confused because there was no fire, only smoke. Gao Peng notices them and asks Zhu Yuan what brings them into the room. Zhu Yuan points to the fire detector and tells to Gao Peng that he made a lot of noise, and that they were there to check on him. Gao Peng apologized for the scene he made, then the other security officer leave while Zhu Yuan called the operator that room 10 is clear. Feng Zhu enters the room with Lai Jin while asking what happened. Zhu Yuan whispered the current situation to Feng Zhu, which made Feng Zhu shocked. On the other hand, the other examiners were outside the room talking about Gao Peng being inexperienced, with Wang Shu thinking Gao Peng's experiment failed. Suddenly, the acidic water in the bathtub boil, then a skeletal hand pops up, and then the skeletal face, which made Wang Shu and the other examiners shocked in fear. The monster stands up, then gets out of the bathtub, which made the ground break and made everyone in the room stunned. The monster looks at Gao Peng, and Gao Peng knows that he successfully completed the evolution of the Red River Ape. The monster's new name was the Battle Bone Dead Ape. His level is 11. His quality is elite, and his attribute is undead. The monster's status was weak but excited, also its weakness is light. Gao Peng checks the ape's new body with happiness. On the other hand, Lai Jin said that the Battle Bone Dead Ape was a new type of monster that has never been discovered. Feng Zhu thinks Lai Jin was correct. But the truly precious is not the monster, but the one who created the monster. Gao Peng suddenly notices Feng Zhu in the back and looks back to say that he succeeded. Suddenly the monster grabs his coat, then Gao Peng look at it. Gao Peng touched its finger and said he was done helping it to improve its quality, which made the monster sad. On the other hand, Lai Jin thinks the monsters that are promoted are usually given to the employees of the association as rewards, and he wants to get the rare monsters. Suddenly Feng Zhu said that the monster is very dependent on Gao Peng, and in that case, he'll give the monster to Gao Peng, which made Lai Jin, Zhu Yuan and Gao Peng shocked. Feng Zhu confirmed that he was giving the monster to Gao Peng, but Gao Peng still can believe it. Feng Zhu explains that the Battle Bone Dead Ape monster is not recorded, and the data on all aspects are unknown. However, it looks like the upgrade was successful. Then Feng Zhu asks if he wants to take the monster. Gao Peng looked at the monster and saw that the monster can be promoted to epic. Zhu Yuan holds Gao Peng's shoulder while saying that the ape really wanted to go with him and that he shouldn't leave it. Suddenly Lai Jin protests at Feng Zhu because, in the association's rule, the successfully evolved monsters are usually awarded to the association's employees, and the ape has been tested 6 times. Suddenly Wang Shu shouted that the monster should have been eliminated. Then Lai Jin said to have such an advanced monster is certainly not something that a young age person and no experience can do. Then Wang Shu shouted that Gao Peng must have cheated. Feng Zhu asks what kind of cheating Wang Shu talking about. Lai Jin responds that the difficulty of the exam is far beyond what the junior trainer can handle, and maybe Gao Peng just happened to know some method somewhere and accidentally cured the monster, so the result may not be the true level of Gao Peng. Feng Zhu asks what he means in his words. Lai Jin responded that the result is successful, and the certificate that should be combined is still given to Gao Peng, but the monster should still follow the usual rule. Suddenly Feng Zhu laughed hard, then said he's not strict in discipline, and there are not many monsters in Chang'an, so he doesn't know how to raise the monster. Then he asks Gao Peng to show his skills, to let them know that there is a world beyond. Gao Peng said he just came to get the certificate. Then he asks how did he get into trouble. Gao Peng looked at Wang Shu while saying he was young, so he must cheated on tests. Then he looked at Lai Jin and said Lai Jin can't do it, but he can do it, so he's just blind. Gao Peng asks them if others can do it. They think it's impossible, so there must be something fishy. Gao Peng explained that the name of the Red River Ape has a river on it. It's just because the ape group lives and multiplies by the Hongshui River. In fact, the ape attributes have nothing to do with water because there is a river in the monster's name. And judging by the ape's previous state, there is more than one idiot who made such a judgment, and gives the ape a large amount of water and yin materials to swallow. Also, the past examiners didn't know the weakness of the ape is the yin system, and if they didn't know common sense knowledge, they lived their age in vain. Suddenly Wang Shu shouted that the weakness of the ape is the wood system and Gao Peng was wrong. Then Feng Zhu said although the ape will have a fearful response to the wood system, its weakness is indeed the yin system, which made Wang Shu silence. Gao Peng explained that the strength of the Red River ape's body goes deep into the bone marrow, and it's hard to clear it, so he did the opposite. The first 3 days Gao Peng gives the ape a black candlegrass to strengthen its soul, then supplemented by a large amount of undead materials. Gao Peng said that there is nothing he need to hide, but he advised them not to try it casually because what really matters is the order in which the materials are added and the ratio between them. And if they don't know, they shouldn't just toss it around, because he's not sure what the tested monster will become. Suddenly Feng Zhu claps while saying the new generation is fearful, and Gao Peng ability was wrong for the junior trainer certificate, and he will grant him an intermediate monster trainer certificate. Feng Zhu grabs Gao Peng's shoulder and said that the intermediate certificate is beyond his authority, and that he must go to the Yanjing headquarters to accept the assessment. But with his qualification, he'll get it. Then Feng Zhu looked at Lai Jin and Wang Shu, then asks who was cheating. And he asks them how they think he become the chairman of the board that he can't find out the truth. Also Feng Zhu asks who just said that the ape was a test piece that was supposed to be eliminated is in the test examination room, which made Wang Shu and Lai Jin shocked in fear. The other examiners confirmed that they always felt that Wang Shu's speech is weird and Lai Jin was always targeting Gao Peng. Then Zhu Yuan raised his hand and said he can testify. Zhu Yuan said that Lai Jin is the one who deliberately added the ape to the assessment list. And then Zhu Yuan pointed to Wang Shu and said Lai Jin did it because he took bribes from Wang Shu. Also he said that the evidence is in the monster's mobilization record. Wang Shu fell to the floor because he knows it was over for him. Feng Zhu announced that Wang Shu has severely cheated and was exempt from reference qualification, and will not be allowed in the examination of the Chang'an Monster Trainer Association for the next 3 years. Feng Zhu also expelled Lai Jin from the Chang'an Monsters Trainers Teachers Association, and will never be hired. Wang Shu and Lai Jin were being thrown by a guard while the examiners said they deserve it. Feng Zhu faces Gao Peng and asks him if he wants to sit in his office and have a cup of tea. Feng Zhu also said that he has a little favor for Gao Peng. At Feng Zhu office, Feng Zhu said he would like to invite Gao Peng to represent Chang'an City in the World Monster Trainers competition. And he also said that the number and quality of trainers in Chang'an City are not very optimistic, which is why he never had a good result in major monster trainers competition for several years. Feng Zhu asks Gao Peng if he's willing to represent Chang'an City because the World Monster Trainers competition doesn't have a strict age limit, whether it is the elderly, middle-aged, or young people. Feng Zhu also said that in terms of growth potential, young talent like Gao Peng must have an advantage. Suddenly Gao Peng laughed in nervousness, which made Feng Zhu think Gao Peng is not interested. Feng Zhu said it was a pity because the top players can get the prize, and the top 10 can get at least 10,000 credits. Suddenly Gao Peng stands up, which made Feng Zhu shocked. When Gao Peng heard about the prize, he agreed to the competition. At the bus stop, Gao Peng was happy to get the intermediate certificate, and he heard that 30 points of the points he got in his monster trainer exam will be added to the college entrance exam. He also named the Skull Ghoul ape dummy because it liked to daze when it was alone. The bus arrives, then Gao Peng enters the bus while thinking that the monster trainer exam was great because he get an elite quality monster and made a great profit. Also Gao Peng gets the identity token. Gao Peng and Dummy were on the bus while Gao Peng wondered if they really going to the competition because it sounds very annoying. On the other hand, people in the back of them whisper about Dummy appearance. Then one passenger tried to touch Dummy, but Dummy attacked the passenger, but Gao Peng didn't notice it. The monsters faced the passenger and tried to pierce the passenger's eye. Suddenly Gao Peng called Dummy, then Dummy ungrabbed the passenger and faced Gao Peng. Gao Peng said in order to support Dummy and Dazai he needs to go to the competition. Gao Peng jokingly said that he is handsome and genius at a young age and that heaven will be jealous. On the other hand, the passengers think Gao Peng hasn't signed a contract with a monster, yet he could make the fierce monster obedient. Gao Peng and Dummy get down on the bus. While they were walking, Dummy notices something. Then he pushed Gao Peng to the side. Then Dummy changes to his combat form and blocks the way where Gao Peng was, while looking at something. Gao Peng stands up and asks Dummy why he pushed him. Gao Peng look at where Dummy is looking, and realized Dummy was protecting him. Gao Peng assured Dummy not to worry because they will be family. Then Gao Peng introduces Dazai to Dummy, but Gao Peng was stopped when he saw Dazai's appearance. Suddenly Tang Tang appeared and said she and Dazai are there to pick him up. Gao Peng asks Tang Tang what happened to Dazai. Tang Tang responded that she give Dazai a lot of good food, and Dazai is very healthy and strong. But Gao Peng sees Dazai's data and she was extremely overnourished. Tang Tang said Dazai was too skinny before because Gao Peng wasn't careful enough. On the other hand, Dummy looks at Dazai, then looked away with attitude. Tang Tang changes the topic and asks him how his exam was. Gao Peng shyly says that he encountered a monster that failed to level up 6 times, but he upgraded him and got an intermediate monster trainer certificate, and the president of the Trainers Association gives him the monster that has been successfully leveled up, which made Tang Tang shocked and asks if he really get the intermediate monster trainer's certificate. Gao Peng showed his certificate while saying as fake as it is, he actually get the certificate. Suddenly Tang Tang come close to Gao Peng and said his growth rate really surprised her, and she need to talk about something to him, which made Gao Peng confused. Tang Tang asks Gao Peng if he knows why the monster trainer has such a high status. It is because the monsters they use, no matter how strong they are, the monster is still monstrous. The Imperial Monster's secret technique is clearly damage transfer, which can transfer all the damage they receive to their own monster, although the range is limited, and can only be turned on by the subjective choice of the monster, and defensive power of the monster is far from the human. Also, when the monster upgrades, it gains more vitality and defense, and it will be more beneficial to Gao Peng. After learning, Gao Peng feel that Da Zai and him were connected by an invisible thread. Gao Peng thinks his contract is done. Then Gao Peng look at Dazi. Gao Peng tells Da Zai that she was fat and looks like a fat purple pig. But Da Zai is still talking back to him. Gao Peng orders Dummy to bring the mirror to him, then he places it in front of Dazi, which made Da Zai shocked. Da Zai plays dead, but Gao Peng said she needs to exercise in a few days to lose body fat, and after her reduction, Gao Peng will give her a quality upgrade. Then Gao Peng imagined Da Zai flying in the sky fat, which made him disgusted. 2 days passed in Chang'an city center. Tang Tang was calling for Gao Peng in the street. Then Tang Tang said she was happier because Gao Peng was already an intermediate monster trainer and willing to help her with her little company. Tang Tang said she's come out to pick him up, and before they go inside she need to say that she partnered with other people to open her small monster training institution. Also she invested a lot of money in it, but her partners run away with the money some time ago, and the trainers were taken away from the store. Gao Peng said the location of Tang Tang business is good because it was the busiest part of downtown, and the rent is not cheap, which made Tang Tang shocked. Tang Tang responded with an uncomfortable expression that her business was doing good before, so she rented the place. But ever since the trainers were taken away, the business has gone downhill. Gao Peng feels that Tang Tang is strange. Suddenly Tang Tang turns around and asks him to go upstairs first. While they were in the front of the elevator, Tang Tang explained that the studio is on the 3rd floor, and as for the treatment, the salary is at the highest rate in the industry, and he will be given 20% of the shares. Tang Tang pushed the 3rd button in the elevator, assuring Gao Peng that he won't be delayed in his studies, and that he just need to drop by on weekends because the job of a monster trainer is very easy. They enter the elevator, and then Gao Peng asks Tang Tang why she can't recruit trainers in the market when the salary is too high. Tang Tang just responded that not having monster trainers is a trivial matter, but they can't smash the sign. Gao Peng thinks Tang Tang's offer was a trap, but it was Tang Tang, and for the past 3 years, he's not been an orphan because of Tang Tang's care. Gao Peng set aside his bad feeling and trusted Tang Tang, then he said he'll listen to Tang Tang. Tang Tang wished for their happy cooperation, but Tang Tang felt intense because she thought Gao Peng found something wrong with her action. They arrive on the 3rd floor, then someone welcomes them there. Tang Tang introduced Gao Peng to their receptionist named Zun Quanquan. Then Tang Tang opens the elevator door and goes inside. Tang Tang tells Gao Peng that she already explained everything to Quanquan, and Quanquan will show him the environment and introduce him to his colleague. Then Tang Tang left, leaving Gao Peng, and Quanquan confused. Gao Peng thinks everything happening had many flaws. Suddenly Quanquan said they get started with registration information, and Gao Peng agreed. When they enter the room, Quanquan thinks Gao Peng was too young while she enters Gao Peng information on the desk. Also, she thinks her boss Tang Tang got cheated again. On the other hand, Gao Peng was on the sofa drinking some tea and thinks a plan on how he will earn enough money for Tang Tang. He needs to set the charging standard. Unlike the other trainers, they need to follow his instruction, and they will have almost 100% success rate in advancing to the next level. In that case, the fee will increase. Although Gao Peng doesn't love money, he shouldn't receive less because it was a desecration of knowledge, and also disrespectful to Goldfinger. So his plan is he'll take a loss, multiply it by 3 at the current highest price for an intermediate monster trainer. Suddenly Quanquan interrupted his thought and said his information has been recorded. Quanquan asks him if he really wants to set the fee standard 3 times the maximum fee for an intermediate monster trainer. Quanquan also said it's not a big deal if he doesn't follow the rules and he doesn't get clients, but it's not a trivial matter if it affects the reputation of the studio. Gao Peng asks Quanquan what her intention to say. Suddenly someone barges in and said Quanquan means Gao Peng has to prove that he really has the ability, which made Quanquan shocked, and called the man named Mr. Ma. Then Mr. Ma walked toward him while asking if he really want 3 times the maximum charge. Then Mr. Ma pointed a finger at Gao Peng and said as long as he can cure his monster, it doesn't matter how much it is, he'll give him 10 times as much as he can. Gao Peng said it was not necessary. Gao Peng first ordered to Mr. Ma is even if it's a big bonus, he just needs to triple it. Mr. Ma asks Gao Peng if he can cure his beast for sure. Gao Peng said he doesn't need to rush, and that he needs to see where his beast is before he can give him an accurate answer. Mr. Ma said he'll believe in Gao Peng once, then he showed his injured pet. Gao Peng walked close and saw the data of the monster. The name of the monster is a purple lightning rat, its level is 13, and its quality is elite. Purple lightning rat status was light injury and suffering, and its weakness is the ground system. Suddenly Gao Peng noticed that the rat was critical, and he need to deal with its dangerous mutation as soon as possible. Gao Peng asks Mr. Ma, in a shouting way, what he feeds to the rat to make it critical. Mr. Ma said he gave the rat a blood jade mushroom because he wanted his beast to mutate and evolve. Then he begs Gao Peng to cure his pet. Gao Peng knows that the purple mouse is already in the process of evolution, but it is only because of the conflict between the power of the blood system and the lightning system that led the rat to critical condition. Gao Peng saw the mutant evolution ingredients and realizes that he need to use the system's plan to turn conflict into complementarity, then the rat will be able to complete its evolution. Gao Peng ordered Quan Quan to get 5 shadow fruits, 1 red maple heart, a pair of thunder gold leaves, and 1 blood bat monster crystal core. Then he explained to Mr. Ma the rules for trainers, that they will come up with a plan and they will help him with the materials, but he'll need to pay for it himself. Mr. Ma responded no problem. Gao Peng assured the rat that he will make him evolve. Gao Peng and the others proceed to the treatment room. Mr. Ma asks Gao Peng if it was really the best way to upgrade his pet with fear in his voice. Gao Peng was holding the rat with a knife in his other hand, while asking Mr. Ma if he have a problem. Suddenly Gao Peng dropped the rat into the boiling soup pot, which made Mr. Ma shocked. When the rat was inside the pot, Gao Peng stirred the soup with the rat in it, which made the rat dizzy. Gao Peng scoops soup into the pot and asks Mr. Ma if he wants to take a sip of rat soup. Then Gao Peng opens the pot lid and said he was joking. Then asks Mr. Ma to take a look. Mr. Ma looked at the pot in shock to see that his pet was relaxing in the pot. Gao Peng explains he didn't make soup, he made a medicinal bath for his beast, and the heating only enhances the absorption of the medicine. Then Gao Peng closed the pot lid again and said he need to cook the rat twice and boil it for another 10 minutes. Mr. Ma knows there are only 2 senior monster trainers in the entire city of Chang'an, and they have very high status, so he can't get an appointment, and the only choice he has is to give Gao Peng a try. 10 minutes later, Mr. Ma asks Gao Peng if his pet is ready because it's taking a little too long to cook. Gao Peng responded that it's almost time. Suddenly the pot lid moved, and Gao Peng said it was time. Then the pot lid burst open, showing a shaky rat inside. Suddenly the rat opened its eyes and then jumped out into the pot, and another part of the room, which made the treatment room destroyed. Mr. Ma saw that his pet upgrade was succeeded. The new monster's name is Purple Lightning Blood Rat, it's level 20, and its quality is perfect. Also, its attributes are the lightning system and the blood system. Gao Peng said Mr. Ma made a fortune because his pet was a perfect quality double system, and with a little bit of training, he can be promoted to the leader level beast. Mr. Ma apologizes to Gao Peng for his previous rudeness because he didn't expect that his beast can be advanced, and he thanks him. Gao Peng handed the bills to Mr. Ma and said he shouldn't thank him because he's paying him for his service, and he needs to pay the damage to his office plus the consultation fee. Gao Peng gives the paper to Quan Quan and he asks her to follow the list of materials in the paper, then send it to his house, and the cost will be deducted from his commission. Mr. Ma asks Gao Peng if he can make an appointment for him tomorrow because he wants Gao Peng to take a look at his other beast, which made Gao Peng think. Suddenly Mr. Ma said the money is not a problem, he can pay triple or more. But Gao Peng said it's not about the money, he needs to go to class tomorrow, that's why he doesn't have time. Mr. Ma was confused and asks if he was going to an association training class or to the master's class. Gao Peng grabs his coat while asking what Mr. Ma talking about, and then he said he was in 3rd year high school, and he needs to go home to do his homework. Then Gao Peng left, leaving Mr. Ma and Quan Quan shocked. Quan Quan also said Tang Tang just bought the studio a few days ago at a high price and dismissed all the monster trainers, and asked her to keep it secret to deceive Gao Peng. Meanwhile, in the apartment, Tang Tang was with her pet looking at the crystal core in her hand, and she thinks it was a good quality crystal core. Tang Tang asks her pet to send the crystal core to Gao Peng room. Tang Tang pet climbed to Gao Peng window room where Da Zai was, then throw the crystal core in front of Da Zai, which made Da Zai and Dummy look at the crystal core confused. Suddenly Da Zai eats the crystal core, then chewed it. Da Zai feels weird, then suddenly Da Zai's body acts up, which made Dummy concerned. On the other hand, Gao Peng was excitedly walking while thinking that the 15 pounds of cedar pine needles are enough for Dummy to eat for a month, and he need to make Dummy evolve to its perfect quality. Gao Peng also thinks Dazai's side can't be more urgent to upgrade because Dazai needs a level 10 or higher lightning monster crystal core, and even if he finds one he can't afford it. Suddenly he heard a noise coming into his apartment and realized it was Dummy. Gao Peng throws all the ingredients he buys and then runs towards his apartment. Gao Peng ran to the stairs, and when he arrives at his apartment door, he opened his door forcefully, and then he saw Dazai rolling back and forth to the ground with a bubbling mouth. Gao Peng opened Dazai's data and see that Dazai took a large amount of blood and flesh from the Lightning Badger centipede with the monster's crystal core. Because of that, Dazai is in the process of evolution, which made Gao Peng shocked in confusion. Gao Peng looked at Dazai wondering how can she eat something so expensive, and he was wondering who would give it to her. Then Gao Peng notices Tang Tang outside his door peeping. Tang Tang showed herself, then Gao Peng asks if she is the one who gave the crystal core to Dazai. When Tang Tang didn't answer, Gao Peng asks why did she do it. Tang Tang thinks if she said it in advance, Gao Peng wouldn't want it. Then Tang Tang just said she was there to deliver something. Tang Tang put down the ingredients Gao Peng threw outside while saying Gao Peng is sloppy because he left his stuff halfway down the road. Then Tang Tang immediately run to her front door and said Gao Peng is so spendthrift after only a few days of earning money. Then Tang Tang go inside her apartment, not making Gao Peng talk to her. Gao Peng looks at dizzy Dazai and scolds Dazai for being an eater, and she shouldn't eat whatever she sees in the future. Gao Peng thinks Dazai doesn't care about the situation, and he needs to make a way to complete Dazai's upgrade quickly. Gao Peng tried to find something to his items and throw everything that won't work. Then he finally finds the medium-grade purple poison flower that will help Dazai evolve. He just needs to grind it and make it into juice. Gao Peng grinds the flower, then made Dazai drink it. When Dazai drinks it, Dazai's eyes open wide, and her body produces a light, which made the room window break. Dazai's horn and body become bigger and sharper, which made Gao Peng shocked. Gao Peng checked Dazai's data and saw that Dazai's monster name changed to a purple-backed lightning centipede. Her level increased by 9, and her quality changed to epic. Dazai's attributes are the lightning system and the blue system, and she was ready to promote to the perfect quality. Gao Peng was happy because Dazai's evolution was over, and he didn't think it would be so easy for Dazai to become an epic quality. Suddenly Dazai collapsed on the ground, leaving Gao Peng and Dummy confused. Dummy comes close to Dazai worried, but Gao Peng assured him that Dazai just lost strength. Gao Peng extends his hand with a bowl of food to Dummy while saying he specially bought his food for him, and compared to Dummy appearance he's too kind. Dummy gets the food confused, but he still eats it, which made him more confused because of the food's taste. Gao Peng praised Dummy and said he need to keep eating, while Gao Peng cleaned the mess. Gao Peng tells Dummy that he completed the upgrade, and it's better to stabilize it. He will upgrade Dummy after he finds the most suitable material, and Dummy will definitely become a very powerful beast. A few hours passed. Finally, Dazai regained her strength and woke up. But she saw Dummy and Gao Peng sleeping on the sofa. Dazai thinks of a better idea, then she gets a blanket and walks toward Gao Peng. Dazai put the blanket on Gao Peng, then she hugged Gao Peng, which made Gao Peng uncomfortable. On the other hand, Tang Tang was looking at them in the window mirror while wondering if it was the calmness before the storm, and wishing Gao Peng will grow up as soon as possible.